Welcome to today's break time with the Welsh battered Mars bar himself, Hugh Roberts.
And the English White Rose's finest letdown, Jamie Wade.
Hoping that it's going to be an interesting watch, sort of watching a fat Welsh bloke and a moderately chubby English fella talk rubbish whilst trying to survive a lockdown.
Yeah, hopefully. It's treated me well. What have we got, Jamie Wade? What's in the can?
Oh, I've got Pepsi Max with some fella on the side of it pointing at you. Who wants you?
He wants you. Well, he had me once, and then he went to City, so we don't.
Oh, it's Raheem Sterling. It's a bit like the old World War II posters, isn't it? You know, Lord Kitchener, we want you, World War II, coronavirus, World War II. This time in this crisis, we've got Raheem Sterling.
The depths we have sunk to.
Oh, people have been crawling around in the graves. Winston Churchill is crying as we speak.
Yeah. Apologies if there's any outside interference. There's a small reptile in the room making quite a lot of noise.
So, is that what we call children nowadays?
Yeah, she's currently setting out the plates on the newly cleaned sofa. So that'll be.
Well, at least you know it'll be clean when you eat from them later on. So we've got quite an action jam-packed episode today, given it's our first one.
An action jam-packed one, lady. That's the one.
Well, you know, sometimes it's a little bit of nervous
energy,
coherent babbling.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no pants on, so I'm not nervous as well.
You've also had a haircut that you look like you've done yourself as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Don't tell Carrie that; she'll fucking kill you.
Oh well, do you know what? I'm going for the outdated Amish / Jesus / Obi-Wan Kenobi's outgrown hair look.
Yeah, I would stick to that. Mine's attempting to cover this double chin that I'm developing. I've been developing it since I was 7.
It's just sped up in the last 2 months of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just sped up a bit. Right, what's on the agenda?
We've got a bit of sport from what was it going on last night?
UFC 249.
UFC, there we go. We've got a bit of news on the Bundesliga as well. Some team in Germany's gone and got itself coronavirus and now quarantined to stop them from playing. And we've also got Boris Johnson's lockdown special summons. So everybody in the country is expected to be watching at 7 p.m. tonight. Obviously already happened for you guys, but we're going to be looking at it and breaking it down and telling you what it means for you.
BJ's at 7, folks. BJ at 7.
Right, so Boris obviously made his speech tonight, and it was a bit of a lackluster speech. Did you see it?
Yeah, it was strange. It was a strange one. I particularly liked the focus on the R number.
Yeah, the R number kept going up. It was a bit of an unusual speech in the fact that it kept going one way then the other. Go to work, but don't. Go on public transport, but please don't. Go to work if you can, but don't if you can't. It's a bit strange. I mean, he was looking at all the other countries and saying, "Oh, they've done all this very well," but we were one of the last countries to follow suit anyway.
Yeah, I mean, from my impression, it was a case of using common sense. That was the main takeaway I took from it, because it's a fluid situation. Nobody actually knows really what's going on, you know, in the public eye at least. The only thing that was not said was, we're not safe until there's a vaccine. That's the only thing to me that he didn't say.
But I think that's what's on everybody's mind anyway. I mean, it was a bit of a, excuse the term, but it was a bit of shithousery, wasn't it, really? It was pre-recorded. It wasn't a speech that you would see a politician do live. I think that was a bit poor. He's not said anything to Parliament. He's got that tomorrow. And I think he's opening himself up to a bit of criticism tomorrow night because he's taking questions from the public as well. So,
yeah, we know how he's going to answer the public questions, don't we? It's going to be a regurgitation of tonight. It's going to be a regurgitation of what he says tomorrow and the script that he's going on. I think personally that he has been pressured by the new Labour leader.
Yeah, Keir Starmer.
Putting this statement out when maybe he's not ready. And I mean, there has been grumblings I found that the public are wanting a plan. But if we're not ready, we're not ready.
Well, I mean, you just have to look at that the Twitter comments and the Instagram posts and everything about the girl promising nudes for Joyce Johnson if she's allowed to see her mates. Just look at Nicola Sturgeon. She was fuming today with Boris Johnson changing the message and then her only finding out what was going on in the speech through looking at the papers. I mean, the other thing that we've been revealed today is we've got this COVID alert system. I mean, what's the point in that? It's red or it's green.
Yeah, Christ almighty. It's like being in the classroom, isn't it? It really is. How do you think you got on with this task, Boris? Are you red or green? Oh, shut up. Do you know what I mean? I don't see the point. I really don't.
It's just a bit of extra bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake. I mean, we all know that there's this threat of coronavirus and it's going to get lower and lower, or it's going to go up as the spikes and things like that. But we don't need a national centre to tell us that it's red 5 or it's amber 3. It just is a bit of pointless wasting of money. I mean, you look at what's going on. We've got the care homes. We've got the problems with the deaths. They're not testing and tracing near enough people. So what do they spend the money on? A centre to tell us how bad it is.
I'd look on any middle-aged woman's Facebook account and that would tell me how bad it was.
Oh, Karen's got the notifications up for this new COVID alert.
Yeah, Karen is all over it. Karen is wearing one set of gloves a day and one mask continuously.
She's added the decimal points to the system as well. No longer is it 1 to 5. It's 1, 1.5, 2, 2.2, 3, all the way up to 5 now.
Yeah, and I mean, 1 to between 0.5 and 0.9, there's nothing like a bit of accuracy, is there?
Oh, well, for the R. I mean, let's look at what he announced. Wednesday, you're allowed to go for an unlimited exercise, which is brilliant. But he says you can go and sit in the parks. Well, we're just going to get all those gatherings again, aren't we?
Exactly. But I find it funny how people are sort of saying you can go on more than one exercise a day. What that actually means is we're not really policing or controlling what you do anyway, so we'll just let you do it and look like it's our idea.
Well, that brings up what we were talking about before. I mean, with the Essex police, they're not even enforcing motoring offences at the minute because they haven't got the capacity to do it. They're letting motorists off with speeding up to 20 miles per hour over the limit because they haven't got the ability to deal with it. Yeah, so, you're bang on there. But he says he's increasing the fines. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah. To be fair, you know, increasing the fines, like to any normal person, you would think will deter them, but the rules don't apply to a certain demographic in this country.
And you usually find that demographic are the ones that avoid the fines as well.
Yeah. Them who are perfectly capable of playing the system in many ways.
And I've been playing it for many years in most cases.
Yes, in many generations. But
the other thing that was big news was the plan had dates on conditions. Now, I'm all up for a plan. I'm all up for giving dates, but I do think the British public are going to see this as, well, if it doesn't happen by those dates that have been announced, we've failed as a nation.
Yeah. To me, I saw it as he's putting a target on his own back. He's setting himself up to fail. Because if these things don't happen on these certain dates, Karen will go and ask questions why. You know, they'll be like, well, why aren't we back? You said. And I think that's a mixture, I think, of fear and hope more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're both teachers, and there was noise made about schools. Obviously, primary school kids could be going back as of June the 1st, with reception year 1, year 2, and 6. But whether that happens is all dependent on the 5 tests. And can you honestly see the 5 tests happening in a way that is a positive outcome for us or not?
In all honesty, not really.
No. So we're just pushing it back.
I'm more concerned about the secondary school kids, and them lot supposed to be going through these exams next year, and are they going to get time to see their teacher and whatnot? But judging by the complete lack of engagement since they've been home learning, I don't think that will be an issue. Those who want to do well will do well.
Yeah, I saw a figure about a week ago that said 75% of the nation's school children weren't engaging with online learning or remote learning anymore. They'd just given up with it. And to be fair, if you look back at when we were their age, would you have done it? I wouldn't.
No, no.
Exactly. You've got your PlayStation, you've got your Facebook, TikTok videos. That's the big one at the minute, and things to do at home rather than sitting there and doing some online learning that was transferred from a classroom-based activity to try and all of a sudden be a home-based activity. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. The mad scramble to get these online resources ready is comical. I mean, genuinely, I feel like school staff have done the best that they could, given
They've done brilliantly,
but it hasn't been enough. Simply because we've never done it before, etc. All the usual. People have said it 1,000 times. I don't need to say it again. It's unprecedented. The word of the buzzword so far. But yeah.
Well, you just got to look at it. Unfortunately, we couldn't have been prepared. How are you meant to prepare an entire curriculum for home learning when the curriculum's ready to be based in a school? So the teachers have done fantastically well, and it's no slight on them that the kids aren't engaging with it. But you've got to look at it. The resources that we can create can only be so good as it can be. There's no teachers at home. If they're going to struggle, they're going to struggle, and that's what turns a lot of them off.
The biggest thing that we've missed is the care home thing, though. The deal with how bad the situation has been in the care homes.
I mean, he kind of glazed over it, didn't he, really? He mentioned there was the epidemic in the care homes that needed to be under control, but he didn't say anything about how he was going to do it, why it's been so bad. And he didn't apologise for the lack of PPE, and he didn't apologise for the lack of clarity on the situation.
No, I mean, it takes one person to go over to Turkey and check if the PPE meets the criteria, doesn't it? But instead, he's just put, buy them all,
and then
figure it out when it gets here. And it'll get here late, because that's what we do in Britain. But care homes, though, I feel a lot of them in the private sector have their intentions in the wrong place.
Yeah.
In terms of upper management, that get the feeling that they'd rather line their pockets than actually, pay staff well enough to want to risk lives and not want to have the PPE, but to be able to give them the PPE needed, etc., to deal with it. And I think it's been brushed under the carpet and just forgotten about because there's been such a focus on public sector healthcare.
Yes.
How long will it be? How long will it be public sector for? Because let's face it, after all this is said and done, if the people who are in power now remain in power, it's only a matter of time till it gets privatised. I don't see them reversing that decision.
I can't see that myself either, but that's going massively off topic because we could talk about that for days.
Yeah, we will.
I mean, well, yeah, we will. There you go. Something to look forward to. I mean, if we summed it up, we've got 5 main points from his speech today. If you can't work from home, you're expected to go to work unless your workplace is closed. You can have as many exercise sessions as you want, but you've got to keep socially distanced. The thing that made me laugh was that he was going to look at having team sports, but then he goes, you can have team sports, but in your own household.
Yeah.
How the hell's that going to work?
So it'd be like Robert
16 cousins.
What's the deal there? Yeah. That family with 22 kids at Morecambe would be all right.
Well, yeah, the octuplets that were born a couple of years ago, they're sorted for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, you've got other schools and shops will possibly reopen June 1st. Restaurants and hospitality could be open in the beginning of July, so you can look forward to your cheeky Nando's and a couple of other restaurant night out, as long as you've got your greenhouse to sit in, like they're doing in. Have you seen Prague at the minute? They sit in greenhouses so they can socially distance. And of course, you've got the new COVID red, amber, green alert system.
Of course.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Just just what we needed on a Sunday night. I tell you what, I'm already feeling that the panic from members of my family and members of my household of what are we gonna do? And I am getting a sense from a text that I received today from a childcare provider saying that they are basically wanting to open back up. Now, reading between the lines, I'm guessing that's because they're absolutely skint, which is
Well,
the, apart from being dead, I would say the worst thing about this whole pandemic. So,
well, everybody talks about it, don't they? It's the economic consequences as well as the actual health and well-being. And I mean, Boris touched upon it, but the Conservatives are often slighted for putting the economy before health. But I have to say, it's a bit worrying to think that people are losing money. People are going to be hit very badly by this. So, be interesting to see what happens.
yeah. And my sort of closing sentiment on this would be I genuinely don't see how, given the late start that we had on dealing with it, how it could have been done in a much better way. Obviously, there's various little improvements that could have been made and various things that people could have said here and there. But big picture, how much more really could they do?
Not much, really. Let's be honest. I think people have been very, very quick to criticise the government. Yes, 30,000 deaths is awful, horrific, and we should be asking questions when this crisis is over. But we have reacted as quickly as possible as we could after our late start, like you say. Yeah, Boris has had his ups and downs, but I'll give it to him. He's been ill to the point of almost dying, and he's back on duty already, and he's given it his best shot. I'm not a Tory. I'm a Labour supporter, but I will say to Boris, yeah, fair play. You've done as well as you can.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty in poor taste from Keir Starmer to come on and criticise immediately. But let's be honest, it's his job.
Yeah, he's the leader of the opposition. He's got to oppose what the government say.
Yeah, he has.
So,
all I would like to see is you do something better, mate. You've been in the job hardly any amount of time, and in no uncertain terms, you've come out, giving it the big one.
yeah, I agree. I think my closing thought on it is in World War II, there was a unity government, a coalition between Labour and Conservatives. They worked together. We're not seeing that in this case now, and we are at war against a virus. So, interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
Something to look forward to. Football's back.
it is,
But not the British football.
No.
As always, the Germans are ahead of the game.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, why wouldn't they be?
Well, they love it, don't they? So Bundesliga's back. Although, did you see the news today?
Paderborn or someone. Who was it?
No, actually, it's Dynamo Dresden and their entire team. So they're the team in like League Two. So if you think about it, like the Championship, they're all in isolation. They're not allowed to go out. They're not allowed to play. They're not allowed to do anything for 14 days because a couple of them got coronavirus.
All right, so they're going to miss out on some points there, then, aren't they? The Preston of Germany.
Oh, shut up. North End are going to come back and get promoted when the champion restarts. I'll have you know. Speaking of the teams of Germany being like the teams of Britain, there's been a couple of comparisons online recently about which team you should follow if you're a supporter.
Oh, I saw this, yeah. Was it like a tree that you had to follow and it had questions on and whoever?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
And there's also like there's also like the direct comparisons. So obviously, if you're a Liverpool supporter, you've got to support Dortmund because of Jurgen's history, and obviously his ties to it. If you're a Manchester United fan, obviously you've got to support Bayern Munich because they're the glory supporters and things like that.
Yeah. I did see on that tree, on that like list that you could flow chart that you could go through.
Yeah.
If you actually answer, I answered the questions as if I was trying to find the Liverpool of Germany, and it turned out to be Hamburg.
Really?
Yeah. So it was essentially, do you live on past glory or live on former
Liverpool
glory.
certainly does a fair bit of that.
So I thought, I better pick that one then.
Well, at least we've got some football to look forward to and something for us to bet
Yeah.
on with the accumulators again.
I know, yeah, indeed. And speaking of betting, there was live sports on the weekend just gone, you know.
What was it? UFC?
UFC 249, yeah. It was.
I don't understand the numbers. What 249? Is that like the 249th fight or?
It's to the 249th pay-per-view event.
Ah.
Yeah.
I heard that one of them got coronavirus and the fight got called off.
Yeah, that was Jacare Souza. He's a middleweight from Brazil, and he was fighting American Uriah Hall, who is apparently being paid, even though he didn't fight, which is good. So yeah, they tested them and they weighed in and they faced off in front of each other, and then that would have been on Friday night, and then he was pulled out shortly after with corona.
So he's been breathed on by a guy that's got coronavirus. So he's going to be prepping to go down with it next then, surely.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that the testing and whatnot that the UFC have done has been, just from what I saw of the event, which is most of it, to be fair, pretty good.
That's good to see.
And
I mean,
there's been a lot of other sports leagues apparently getting in contact with the UFC on what have you done, how do you get better, blah blah blah, and they've got another event coming up on Wednesday, and their president Dana White was saying that by Wednesday they'll have more processes, they'll have learned from mistakes from last night, etc., etc. So in the space of 3 or 4 days, they're hoping to have improved. So
that's good to see.
Yeah.
At least sport can continue. And I mean, it's great that even a fighter that hasn't fought is getting paid. I mean, you're basically seeing him being furloughed.
Yeah.
But with full pay.
I don't know if he's going to get it all, but he's been told he's going to be compensated. And there was a case of, must have been others in his corner as well. So, you know, the team that go in between now, etc. I think they will have caught it as well. So I don't know what they're going to be doing with that, to be fair. I don't know. But they are a sports league without a union. So really, they have absolutely no leg to stand on. You know, they don't have the same thing as American football has over there. They don't have the same thing as the NBA, etc. So, you know, they're independent contractors rather than employees. So to see that is good.
Well, let's just hope we get more and more sport back as the months progress. I, for one, am ready for the Premier League and Championship to be back. I can't wait for a Super Sunday.
And the last segment of the show, Any Other Business, is basically a segment where every week coming up, we will talk about something that gets on our nerves or grinds our gears. And I've got quite a few stored up, but I think the most appropriate one for now and the most annoying one for me personally is the state of these lockdown trims.
I see you've done your own.
Yeah, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. It's not my fault. I can't take responsibility.
So who can take responsibility?
A really, really nice lady that lives in this house.
So it wouldn't happen to be your other half that you're not going to throw under the bus at this moment?
No throwing under buses. Definitely not.
So you're saying everybody else's haircuts and trims are tragic, but yours is perfect?
Mine is spot on. If you are talking about a haircut from 1943 East Berlin.
Yeah, I mean, for people listening, I think we need to describe it. It looks like a cat has eaten a lot of carpet hair and then regurgitated it on your head and shaved the sides off.
Yeah. Do you know what the worst bit is? Instead of just shaving the whole thing, because I couldn't do that to myself, because I've spent the last 6 weeks moaning and whinging and just basically bad-mouthing everybody who's got a buzz cut.
The skinner.
And I thought, what I'll do is, it can't be that hard. Can't be that hard. I'll get mine done like it. I'll try and have a go properly. And obviously, I mentioned the fact that we were going to have a haircutting session, and the lovely better third of me said, "Well, you see, I've done 6 months of a year's barbering course at college, so if you just order some scissors and some thinning scissors and a set of clippers, I can do it for you and it'd be right good."
Yeah, well, it's ended up rather interestingly. In fact, it looks like one of these, the ends of a Q-tip.
Yeah.
That's what your head looks like.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Brown.
Yeah. We honestly, because we have had none of this gear in, looked on Amazon Prime to everything temporarily out of stock, absolutely everything. So ended up having to queue at the Argos in Sainsbury's at 7:30 in the morning to go and get these clippers. I'm full of confidence, thinking, like, this woman that I love has thankfully done 6 months of a barbering course. And I mean, I've cut my own dad's hair. It's not that fucking hard.
Well, I think the people of Britain are finding out today that actually hairdressers, barbers, they do have a bit of a talent. Yeah. Otherwise, you end up with a bald skinhead or half a mop that looks like it's been used several times in some dirty water.
Yeah, thanks. There's no need to be racist, is there? It's just clean water. It's fine.
Right. So yours is the bad trims and the awful haircuts. Is that right?
Yeah, the terrible trims. I'm sure there's more, but that's the most appropriate one for now.
Right, mine is, I love the clapping for the NHS. Let me be the first one to say that I will clap and I will bang the pots and I will stand at the back or front door and join in. The thing that's grinding my gears is that all of a sudden every Thursday night has turned into a Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce match with all the fireworks and the smoke bombs and the people dancing on the cars and screaming and shouting down the street at 9 o'clock at night, not just 8 o'clock, because they've got excited. Right, tell me you've seen it too.
Yeah, of course I've seen it. I mean, we I probably shouldn't say this, but last Thursday we decided, where can we go? Because nobody does the clapping on our street. There's probably one person that does it, one or two people that do it. So we thought, where can we go to see the clapping? And we went to we went someplace in town down a street, and we had a good laugh at all the clappers and the pots and panners. And I feel like I have a right to be pretty pissed off at this as well, Jamie, because at 8 o'clock at night I'm trying to get a 1-year-old child to sleep.
Oh yeah.
I don't need pots and pans. I don't need Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce. I don't need Red Star Belgrade away.
It just feels like when you're out on the street, the Third World War's either erupted or you're in the middle of the trenches and the second one never ended. Hitler's return. I mean, that's probably appropriate for May's sort of like obstacle to overcome, isn't it? Hitler's return.
I thought you were going to say appropriate because of my haircut.
Well, you've got the tash. Let's put it that way. You're not far off with the haircut either.
Yeah. So I would agree with you massively on the clapping. Yeah, it's irritating at best.
So that is what grinds our gears this episode. Who knows what might happen next week or next episode? You never know with Hugh. He might come across a rat, or he might come across an animal that he dislikes, or he might find a new food stuff that's taken over his life.
Yeah, I've got many an ex who I dislike. They can be classed as
and a lesbian as well, is that right?
Yeah, now married to another woman, but we don't talk about her.
Well, you always try to win her back, don't you?
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's my best efforts. I've got tits and a cock. I'm halfway there.
Right, that's it for today's episode of Break Time. Next Break Time, we'll be looking at some more BJ nonsense. Of course, that's Boris Johnson and his latest Bamble Rambles. And we'll be looking at some more sport, hopefully, if it returns. Any ideas on when that might be, Hugh?
Latest thing I've heard today is that June 1st for the Premier League, but I don't know how much truth's in it, but we're closing in on June 1st, apparently.
Fantastic. So hopefully some more information on those games that will either be played behind closed doors and televised, or maybe a couple of supporters allowed in if you're really lucky. So that's all we've got time for. That was me, the fat English bastard, Jamie Wade.
And me, the fat Welsh fuck, Hugh Roberts.
Thank you for listening.